Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're taking a really hard look at the actual forces driving our careers. Are we leading with authentic purpose or, just kind of reacting to the chaos of the corporate world? We're going to dive right into some fascinating source material on emotional intelligence and executive presence to figure out exactly how to balance our deepest motivations.
So I want you to consider this for a second. Are you driving your ambition, or is your ambition driving you? It's a huge question. High-achieving professionals, they often hit this absolute wall of exhaustion because they get this wrong. So let's look at the data on how we can actually pivot toward true internal authority, rather than just constantly reacting to the demands of the world around us.
Section 1. The external validation trap.
You see, early in our careers, success basically conditions us to react to external markers rather than leading with intentionality. Just look at these metrics: money, fame, power, status, a rising stock price. I mean, they're highly tangible and incredibly easy to measure, right? And making progress here, well, it makes it super tempting to get completely caught up in social or peer expectations. But here's the catch. While this drive definitely enables professional success for a while, it's rarely sustainable in the long run.
Silicon Valley executive Deborah Dunn actually captures this cultural reality perfectly. She says, if you don't pursue that path, people wonder what is wrong with you. And wow, does that hit the nail on the head? When the path of accumulating material possessions is so clearly laid out, stepping off it feels, well, dangerous. People will actively question your ambition. But giving into that pressure, that means risking your authentic self just to meet the expectations of everybody else.
All right, moving on to Section 2, extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation.
To really find alignment, we have to practice discernment and actually map out what's driving our daily actions. It's really about finding a harmony between extrinsic motivations, things like financial rewards and promotions, and the intrinsic ones, like personal growth, developing others, or supporting social causes. Now, the research doesn't say you shouldn't want a salary increase, not at all, but relying way too heavily on those external parameters, that will inevitably lead to an unfulfilling life. Take a look at this emotional intelligence framework from the Harvard Business Review, and specifically, notice how motivation is defined here. True leadership requires a genuine passion for the work itself, something that goes far beyond money or status. The real hallmarks are a strong drive to achieve, optimism in the face of failure, and organizational commitment. Because when you are intrinsically motivated, your energy is essentially boundless. Why? Because it's fueled completely from within. Which brings us to Section 3, shifting achievement to meaning. Moving from external validation to personal meaning, that requires immense courage, especially when you've grown totally accustomed to constant praise early in your career. As Alice Woodwork puts it so vividly, if you're just chasing the rabbit around the course, you're not running toward anything meaningful. You're basically acting like a greyhound at the track, right? Performing for the crowd, waiting for praise, but at the end of the day, it doesn't actually lead to personal fulfillment. So the crucial pivot here is finding that deeper meaning. Take former NYSC CEO John Thain as an example. He realized his motivation wasn't just doing a good job himself, but rather multiplying his impact through a group of people. Some leaders even take lower-paying roles strictly for the intrinsic passion of the work. That is a true focus on meaning over simple, isolated achievement. Because ultimately, intrinsic motivations are just way more fulfilling, since they're actually congruent with your true values. Let's dive into Section 4, asking the hard questions. If we really want to pursue meaningful success, we eventually need to hit pause. We have to ask ourselves the harder questions about how our purpose actually links to our personal life story. Because the only way to avoid the trap of materialism is to deeply, truly understand yourself. So I want you to ask yourself, what is your true source of happiness? It is so incredibly easy to get caught up in peer, social, or parental expectations. So let's take a moment of quiet reflection here. Deeply understanding where you personally find genuine happiness is honestly the ultimate armor against burnout. And finally, Section 5, aligning goals with values. Let's turn these reflections into actual, actionable leadership. By consciously practicing these 4 steps, you can ensure your ambition is congruent with your true values. First up, deeply understand where you find genuine happiness. Second, shift your focus away from constant achievement and toward deeper meaning. Third, continually ask yourself those difficult questions about your life's purpose. And fourth, firmly align your goals with your core values. Doing this guarantees that your intrinsic motivations are the ones actually running the show. Now, the ultimate goal here isn't just about your career. It's really about knocking down the walls between the different rooms of your life. Think of your life as a house, right? You got a bedroom for your personal life, a study for work, a living room for friends. Well, authentic leaders don't show up as one person in the study and a completely different person in the living room. They integrate these spaces. They use their intrinsic values to maintain a steady, grounded presence everywhere they go.
Ultimately, stepping into your internal authority means you no longer have to rely on this polished, exhausted persona. Instead, you can confidently embrace your signature voice. Are you ready to uncouple your self-worth from external validation? Because when you finally do that, you stop acting like a chameleon trying to please everyone, and you become a leader who empowers others through genuine authenticity. As we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this one thought. If you stripped away your title, your salary, and your public status today, what would actually be left driving you tomorrow? How will you bring this insight into your lived practice today? Take these frameworks, look really closely at your own motivations, and start knocking down those walls. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.